Dana, you good?
Yep.
Notice is hereby given of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Town of Westfield in the County of Union, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. on the evening of Tuesday, June 20th, 2017, in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey. The purpose of this meeting is to transact the regular business of the board and any other business to come properly before the board. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be recorded in the minutes that in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, the Westfield School Board on Thursday, June 15th, 2017, caused to be posted at the office of the Board of Education located at 302 Elm Street, Westfield, New Jersey, and delivered to the Westfield Leader, the Star Ledger, the Westfield Library, Town Clerk of Westfield, Tap into Westfield, and Patch.com, a meeting notice setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting. Dana, can we have a roll call, please?
Michael Beelan.
Here.
Mark Friedman. Brendan Galligan. Robert Garrison.
Here.
Chris Langhart.
Here.
Gretchen Oleg.
Here.
Peggy Astor.
Here.
Charles Ostroff. Amy Root.
Michael, would you lead us in a flag salute, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's so nice to have a room full to hear that. Yeah, it's great. So we're going to start our meeting tonight. I'm going to start the announcements from the podium. We're a little light. We have one board member sick and one traveling, so I apologize, but we are thrilled that you're here and that we have the opportunity to recognize and welcome the Odyssey of the Mind teams and their families to the Board of Ed meeting tonight. So on behalf of the board, I want to congratulate you not only on your phenomenal championship, but on the teamwork, creativity, and commitment, and the many, many hours that you guys have spent to achieve such great success. So for those who are not as familiar with Odyssey of the Mind, I'd like to just take a minute to briefly describe what it is. So it's an international education program for students from kindergarten to college. Teams apply their ingenuity to solve a variety of problems that range from STEM initiatives, such as building mechanical devices, to challenges such as presenting their own interpretation of literary classics. All teams perform a skit in less than 8 minutes to achieve specific problem goals. Teams write scripts, create costumes, build all scenery, and make all props, which must be prepared only by the 7 students on the team. All Odyssey of the Mind teams are also scored on style and spontaneous problem solving. All aspects of the program emphasize teamwork and creativity. So first, I'd like to talk about our youngest team. Most of them are in 6th grade at Edison Intermediate. We also have 1 7th grader and 2 5th graders from Tamaqua School on this winning team. So the fact that you competed as a middle school team is pretty impressive from what I understand. Your team, which worked in problem number 2, took first in regionals and then took first again in states. Your problem involved designing, building, and operating a robot. And I'm told that you worked together for months and months to create a humorous story about a family that brings home a robot, teaches it to flip a burger, kick a ball, play the drums, and pick up a handkerchief. And the maximum budget for the homemade robot, your costumes, and your set was limited to $145. So I can tell you, even though that's all you spent, that the result was priceless. So I'm going to call each of you up here to congratulate you. When I call your name, please come and accept a certificate. And then if I could ask you guys to stay up here so that everybody that's here can get a photo op, and Lori always likes to get a couple of pictures too. Catherine Collins.
Hey, Catherine. Congratulations. Just line up back there. Thanks.
Joey Gamba. Miller Moore. Ariana Keith. Kevin Warren. Avery Keith. Zachary Prusel. And I'd also like to recognize their coaches, parent coaches, volunteers who clearly have coached these guys to great success. Aaron Keith. And Donna Kenny. So congratulations to our younger Odyssey of the Mind team. Pictures, what? Oh, yeah, sure.
We're signing autographs after for $5.
Aaron, Don, I don't know if either of you'd like to say a few words. You're welcome to. No pressure. But
Yeah, sure. Well, first, thanks for having us here. This is great. Once we heard you guys were inviting us, it's a real honor. So, most of these guys have actually been together for 3 years. So this is their third time they've been together, and yeah, actually, I thought it's all about them. I thought I'd maybe ask them to share for 15 seconds, maybe one of their best memories, one of their favorite memories from this year's Odyssey. If you guys have something to share, great. If not, that's okay too. But maybe we'll start with Zach.
My favorite memory was being with the China Buddies.
You want to come up?
You want him to come up to the? Maybe come up to the podium.
Yeah.
That way we get. Okay, go ahead.
My favorite memory was when we were with our China Buddies and we got to play with them. That was an amazing experience, and we got to learn their way of like living and how they interpreted things.
So what I liked was also like Zach, the China Buddies, because we got to play games like Ultimate Frisbee and soccer with them, which I thought was a lot of fun.
This buddy team from China spoke no English, and these guys had a great time together for 3 days, which is miraculous.
My favorite part was trading pins at Worlds, and I got like pins from different states and countries.
I would have to say that my favorite memory was after regionals when we really took a step back and looked after all the chaos from the beginning to see what we actually made, and that it was actually a pretty nice product.
My favorite part was pin trading because you got to meet people from all different places around the world.
My favorite memory was building everything because it was a lot of fun.
And I also want to thank the women here, Ellen and Suzanne, who really brought this Odyssey to Westfield and also opened it up. These kids aren't in GT program. I know most of the kids who do it are in GT, so Joey Gamba coined the phrase AGT because he's almost gifted and talented. As are most of this group. The one kid who's not here, actually, Miller, is in GT, but these are AGT kids, and we love them and really proud of them. So congratulations.
Chris, I think we have some work to do in our next policy meeting. Maybe we can look at that GT policy, new category, AGT. So now I have the pleasure of congratulating the Odyssey of the Mind team from Edison Intermediate, which worked on problem number 1, entitled Catch Us If You Can. So this team of middle schoolers achieved the title of World Champion at the 2017, that's like World Champion, at the 2017 Odyssey of the Mind World Finals competition held May 24th through 27th at Michigan State University. You were in first place in the New Jersey State competition and qualified for that event by excelling in the Northern New Jersey Liberty competition. As state champions, you advanced to the World Finals competition, where over 850 teams from nearly every U.S. state and 25 countries competed in this creative problem-solving competition. Your team of 8th graders and 6th graders competed in the vehicle problem, in which you created 3 unique vehicles to travel different routes from a multi-level parking garage to a secret meeting place without being stopped. Each vehicle had to initiate an action to evade a character trying to stop them. In addition, your team needed to clearly explain a creative reason for the secret meeting, a simulation of what was happening inside one of the vehicles as it traveled, and create a soundtrack to accompany the vehicles. I could tell you it's no secret that your students impressed the judges and that your travel to Michigan was well worth the trip, so congratulations. And I understand that this Thursday you're going to be honored with the ceremonial resolutions at the State House during the State General Assembly. So thank you for representing Westfield in such a magnificent way. So again, I'm going to call you up. When I call you up, please come up, get your certificate, and hang out for a little bit. Hannah Cherry. Audrey Haber. Meredith Rosenthal. Nah, you got the big one. Congratulations. William Craw. Ian Lawarn. Fiona North. And Amanda Rosenthal. She's not here. And I also just want to take a minute and recognize their coaches as well. Ellen Cherry. And Suzanne Rosenthal. Absolutely. Do you want to say a few words or have the kids say something?
Well, first of all, thank you to the Board of Ed for having us. Thank you to the Board of Ed for having us here tonight. Thank you on behalf of myself and on behalf of Ellen and on behalf of these 6 representing 7 students in the district, and on behalf of all the kids on the 10 Westfield Odyssey teams this year, because there were a lot of kids who participated. Our 2 teams were lucky enough to make it to World Finals, but there are plenty of kids who worked hard on the program. I was given the opportunity to have the kids say a few things, but I've been listening to them since September, so I'm going to share a couple ideas with you. Our team, as Gretchen introduced us, competed with Catch Us If You Can. By World Finals, there were 61 other teams representing international countries, different states. There were provinces of Canada and states of Mexico. The fact that we were able to make it to the top of that list is really kind of unbelievable. I think the parents who are in the room would agree with me. It was not what we expected. We knew the kids had worked hard. They spent, I think, over 200 hours building their projects and rewriting their script and developing characters. But we didn't expect to achieve what we had. The points that I really want to bring to you as the Board of Ed and as educators in the room are 2. One thing that these kids learned this year that may not be so obvious, besides building vehicles, et cetera, is what my daughter likes to call intellectual risk-taking. The idea of taking a chance on something and not knowing if it's going to be received by your audience in the way you think it will be. The team this year planned a theme that was a political theme. They developed a nation of plants and animals, and they had President Donald Stump, who was being chased by his rival, Hillary Clinton. And in a politically active year, this was a risk. And we, as coaches, can't tell them what to do or not do. So we discussed the concepts of satire and history and humor. We took them to a family-friendly improv show. We tried to get them to understand that this was a chance that they were going to have to take, and this was a chance that they wanted to take. And the fact that they took that risk and pulled it off successfully, I think, speaks to something bigger than whether they could build a machine or build some scenery. The other piece that I think is really important for this team and this year in particular is that I think they've learned to be resilient. Going to our regional tournament in March, they had devised very elaborate vehicles that up until the tournament were not working the way that they wanted to. They weren't quite sure they were going to work at all. And in fact, they didn't really achieve what they wanted to achieve at the competition. But they still had to learn to present what they had made on its merits. They had to keep their skip going and keep their theme present, even though things weren't operating the way they were. And they held their cool, and they came in second place in the tournament and advanced on to states. By states, they had an entirely new script. They had 2 brand new vehicles and a redesigned third vehicle. They had changed around characters, they had changed around scenery, and they learned to change and adapt. And by World Finals, the same thing. They had redone their script, they added new jokes, they adjusted their storyline, and they learned that even though you perhaps don't get the best grade to start with, you can learn from that effort and adjust going forward. So there are many, many lessons that Odyssey teaches kids like ours who are here tonight. Beyond just the written on the page requirements, I think Odyssey encourages innovation. And the idea was that they wanted the kids to sort of go beyond what was written on the page. And luckily, our kids were able to do that. I think Ellen and I are proud of our kids this year, but we've been proud of the teams we've coached over the last number of years. And we're very proud of what they were able to accomplish. So thank you for having us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
Their autographs are $25.
The world champions.
Does everybody know here that we were so sure we weren't going to win, we didn't stay for the final ceremony?
Is that right?
So we all ended up kind of watching it. We were watching it live stream and from our beds at home. So we didn't get that final moment. Because it's like an arena, a basketball arena filled with people.
She ran into my room screaming when she found out.
Most of us did, but just we thought the chances of winning were that slim that not one of us on the team stayed for the final ceremony.
Well, we can't quite replicate it, but thank you for giving us the chance to honor you guys. And it's really a neat opportunity for us as well, because I mean, we talk about in the district constantly resiliency, and now we have a new catchphrase, maybe, you know, intellectual risk taking. Those are things that all of our students really need to be willing to engage in. So thank you for setting an example, and thanks for letting us have you come and honoring you. Thank you. Absolutely. Congratulations, you guys. So we have some rowdy sports teams that you may hear in the hallway, so I'm going to very politely kick you guys out so that they can come in, but thanks again for coming. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming here. It's good to see you. Hey guys, it's so good to see you. I was happy.
At least in my
Hey, thanks again, guys. That's great.
Congratulations.
It's hot, right? Hot? Thank you for I appreciate it. I think they had a fun time. In between the main somebody was walking
I think she'll be good. No, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming tonight. So I'd like to start tonight by welcoming the Westfield High School boys varsity tennis team, who had another sensational season in 2017, amassing a record of 24 wins and only 3 losses, and finishing the season ranked 3rd in the state of New Jersey. It's very impressive. Overall, you won the conference championship, the 26th time in the last 27 years, the Union County Championship for the 13th consecutive year, the Westfield Invitational Championship for the 5th consecutive year, and adding to your incredible achievements, you were the North 2 Group 4 Sectional Championship for the 3rd consecutive year. So we just want to thank you for coming, congratulate the entire team, and then recognize you individually. When I call your name, please come up and accept a certificate, and then hang out up here so that we can get a couple of pictures before you go. And I'm also going to take the opportunity to call out some individual achievements when I call you to the podium. So first, our Union County 3rd singles champion, Owen Bartok. And the Union County 2nd singles champion, Noah Reich. Sean Pass. Alex Prastupa. So those are our graduating seniors. Congratulations, you guys. Our juniors and the Union County 1st doubles champion, Robert Factor. Union County 1st singles champion, Damian Ruparel. The other Union County 2nd doubles champion, I assume Robbie's partner, David Sprung. Two people play doubles, right? I had a 50-50? Oh, okay. Well, then another Union County 2nd doubles champion, Jacob Tannenbaum. The team sophomores, Matthew Bartok. Jai Sharma. Matthew Sue, who is the Union County first doubles champion. And the freshman, Brad Hornbeck. And we'd like to recognize the tennis team coach, George Kapner. And Adam Gherkins. Would you like to say a couple words, Coach?
Thank you for this honor. I want to add some individual championships because they were at the state level and too late to get the information to the board. Second doubles, raise your hand, so we get the right two together this time. Second doubles made it to the round of 16. They're one of the 16 best doubles teams in the state. First doubles, raise your hand, made it to the semifinals. So they're one of the 4 best teams in the state, and in the Star Ledger named them second team All-State. And Damian Ruparel, who made it to the quarterfinals of the state tournament, singles tournament, furthest anybody's gone for us in quite a few years. And the Star Ledger named him third team All-State. So congratulations to those guys. Those of you who know me know that this is one of the great joys of my life, that I stumbled upon this town and had a chance to teach here for 40 years and am allowed to continue to coach. It's just seriously one of the great joys of my life. I believe I have coached 70 varsity teams in 5 different sports. So I am going to say something that might come as a shock to them. I'm never going to say that was my favorite team, but this team is in that argument. This was such a joyful season. It was a pleasure to be around them. They competed. They're wonderful. Their parents were just so supportive. Publicly, I want to thank Sandy. She has just been, I keep using the word joy, a joy to work with. Everything that I could have asked for to have happen this year happened, with the exception of we were this close to being the #1 team, but it was a great year. Gentlemen, thank you. For those who are coming back, let's do it again next year. And to the seniors, good luck. You're part of my heart, men. Thank you.
Pictures, we okay? All right, looks like we're good. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So we're going to move on now to recognize some individual athletes. We have, first of all, 2 amazing wrestlers with us this evening. I'd like to start first in recognizing our graduating senior, Jack Miller. So Jack, if you could come up while I talk about you, that would be great. So Jack finished his senior season with an incredibly impressive 42-5 record and went on to place 5th in the state in his weight class of 195 pounds. Jack earned both the district and county championships and also placed 3rd in the region. Jack has been accepted to the University of Virginia in the fall and will be wrestling on their team. Wow. Congratulations. CJ Composto, are you in the crowd? Can you come up? So CJ Composto finished his freshman season with a record of 36-5. He earned the district and region championship and also finished third in Union County at 113 pounds. CJ finished in the top 16 in the state at 106 pounds, and he is the first freshman in Westfield High School history to win a region title. Congratulations. Jack and CJ were key members of a team that reached the sectional semifinals and finished second in the district and third in the county. So I'd like to just give their coach an opportunity not only to be recognized, but also to say something about his team. Glenn Kurz.
Sure. I think I can find some nice things to say about these two guys. Oh, sure. I haven't been doing this as long as Coach Kapner, so I couldn't say that I've had 70 teams that I've coached. But in the years that I've been here, these are two of the best kids to be around. They were, I mean, their statistics, the records speak for themselves. But what doesn't show up in those numbers is what people don't know is that that didn't just happen. Their results was just due to their hard work. The hours that they put in all summer long. We started our off season for next year last week. CJ's been in the room, Jack's been in the room helping those guys out, and they're just great kids to be around. As a coach, you want your kids to be successful, you want them to win, but it's so much more enjoyable to do it when you're around just awesome kids like Jack and CJ. They're leaders, not just of the wrestling team, they're leaders in the school. They're kids that I'm proud to say they're members of the wrestling team. I just couldn't be happier. CJ, I'm so excited to have him for another 3 years. Jack has meant so much to our program. He was like having another coach in the room. He's just become such a great young man. I know he's going to be successful in college. I'd say I miss him already, but he's still in our room. And, you know, his placing 5th in the state, I've been here for 19 years. He's only the 5th wrestler to place in the state tournament. So that's pretty, and we've had some good wrestlers. CJ's accomplishment, the first freshman ever to win a region title. There are about 40 teams in our region. So that's pretty impressive. And he's only the 3rd freshman the 3rd wrestler to win a region title since I've been here. And the other 2 to do it were seniors. So he's way ahead of schedule. Couldn't be more proud of them as wrestlers and more importantly as people. So thank you. And I'd also like to thank the board for recognizing them and their accomplishments and for supporting our program. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You want me in there with them? Sure.
From wrestling.
So we're going to move on to golf. Anna Bowman, please come up. Hi. Congratulations. So Anna Bowman had a standout season as a sophomore for our girls golf team. Anna won the overall lowest batch match average in girls golf. Is that right? And I said that right? Okay. She won the North Jersey Conference Championship as an individual, and because of her low score, the team won the conference championship as well. Anna earned a trip to the Tournament of Champions and finished in a tie for 7th overall in the state. And we just learned this week that Anna made 2nd team All-State. So congratulations. Absolutely. Oh, do you want here? Coach is in here, so take the picture. Congratulations, Anna. And our last athletic recognition tonight, certainly not least, is for Mr. Bob Brewster. If you could please come up, please. So Bob Brewster is not only a well-known science teacher and a 1968 graduate of Westfield High School, but he's just as famous on the baseball field. He has been the varsity baseball coach since 1983, making him the longest-serving head coach in Westfield High School history. During that time, his teams have won 611 games while capturing a record 11 Union County tournament titles and 3 NJSIAA sectional titles. His teams also have reached the state Group 4 finals twice in 2011 and 2013. And the board would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you on reaching your record-breaking 600 win, the most wins of a coach in a single sport. So congratulations, absolutely. Would you like to say a few?
After I had one of my parents was taking pictures, and she told me, "Where are you going to be in the dugout when the game is over if we win?" I said, "I don't know, because I'm going to be pacing the whole game." And she caught me just from the right place. And then a couple days later, we had defeated Cranford that day, 1-0. And the Cranford coach said they had a brand new turf baseball field put in this year. They said, "You know, the ice that they threw on you ruined the field." He said, "Just kidding, just kidding." But what really humbled me was after the game, I got home and there was a text on my, it was an email that my brother had sent me. And my brother says, he says, "Congratulations, it's one of two things. Either you're a good coach or you're really old." So I just want to thank you very much. It was a surprise when Sandy told me that I'm coming to the board meeting. And I got the rice letter and I said, "Oh, what did I do now?" And I thought and my wife said, "Don't worry about it. It's every time your name is brought up, you have to get a rice letter." So now I know what it's for. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Somebody's hold. The kid would do this much faster than I can.
I don't even know how to help you, I'm sorry. I
That's
think
okay.
maybe tap that green and you'll get
There
to
we
the
go.
screen.
Thank you for calling.
You tap that.
All right, let her go. Somebody has heard this whole meeting.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But he was at the whole meeting and he still never got a whole coach.
That's the one who said
Thank you, Sandy. So we're very fortunate to end our special announcements this evening as we honor student achievements in academics, athletics, and now performing arts. In the performing arts, we're congratulating junior Devin Tibbles. Devin, can you come on up? Congratulations. Absolutely. You get to stand here and listen to me talk about you. As stage manager for Carrie the Musical, Devin earned a Rising Star Award from Paper Mill Playhouse this spring. This is the second time that Devin has received the award, having won a Rising Star as stage manager of Into the Woods last year. Drama teacher Mr. Dan Devlin was not able to attend this evening, but he sent us this message. Devin is a terrific young woman who is an excellent student in class and an exceptional leader for the Westfield Theater Department. As a freshman, she served as the assistant stage manager, and then, as she entered her sophomore year, she assumed the role of stage manager. Devin has demonstrated an exceptional ability to execute the technical elements of our productions, manage the various student production crews backstage, and coordinate the online communications with cast and crew. With each new production, her skill and technique continue to improve, and in turn, strengthen her already excellent abilities. Heading into her senior year, Devin will be serving as the president of the Westfield High School International Thespian Society. Devin is absolutely deserving of this special honor, and I thank Dr. Dolan and the Board of Education for recognizing her and her accomplishments. Congratulations, Devin. And Mr. Devlin also tells us that this marks the 8th consecutive year that Westfield High School stage managers have received this recognition. So if you ever are attending an event, a concert, or anything at the high school, Devin is the one that you see running around, like putting microphones out and making sure everybody's where she needs to be. So we're all grateful for all your time and energy, and congratulations on this very well-deserved recognition. Absolutely. You gotta take a picture. All right. I think we get to go back to the chairs. Thank you. So, we'll go around the table with any other announcements. Michael, do you have anything?
Yes, I have one. Westfield residents and or those working in the town are eligible to apply for scholarships designated for individuals enrolled in library-related courses. The scholarships of $1,000 and upwards can be used for credit-bearing undergraduate and graduate courses that will assist the recipients in current or future library work. While past Friends of the Westfield Memorial Library scholarship applications were limited to Westfield residents, the organization has opted to open up the awards to those who are in town but live elsewhere, including local teachers and library employees. Applications will be accepted on a rolling basis with no set deadline. Forms are available at the front desk of the Memorial Library at 550 East Broad Street.
Thank you. Brendan.
Yep. Congratulations to the 20 Westfield High School students who received national recognition on the 2017 Italian National Exam, competing against students from 184 schools across 20 states. Westfield High School Italian teachers Maria Santilli and Lauren Conroy explained that the exam, which was administered to more than 5,400 students nationwide, consisted of levels 1 through 5, with 5 being the highest. The list of students who earned national recognition appears on the district and Westfield High School in the news section of the websites.
Rob, do you have one?
Sure, I have two rather lengthy ones. Westfield High School, congratulations to Hi-Zi, Westfield High School's independent student-run newspaper. The American Scholastic Press Association awarded Hi-Zi first place with special merit in outstanding high school weekly newspaper. In addition, the Columbia Scholastic Press Association awarded Hi-Zi a silver medalist certificate, and the National Scholastic Press Association gave Hi-Zi an honor rating of first class. Hi-Zi completed another very successful year in 2016-2017, publishing 28 editions in its 83rd year of existence. According to advisor Warren Hines, in a year full of important school news coverage, the reporters were ready and able to handle all the stories that came their way. Nearly half of this year's Hi-Zi seniors plan to major in journalism in college. The rising seniors are already ready and waiting to begin the 2017-2018 year. Secondly, the Westfield Board of Education applauds the kindness and many accomplishments of the Westfield High School Community Service Club this year. The club completed a very busy year of service by holding a dance marathon fundraiser for Children's Specialized Hospital on May 19th, which raised more than $5,500 for the hospital. In addition, Service Club members made several visits to Brighton Gardens Assisted Living in Mountainside, making crafts and having conversations with senior residents there. Service Club members also tutored elementary school students at Tamaulipas, Jefferson, and McKinley Elementary Schools, at Edison Intermediate School, and at the Saturday Family Center for Refugee Families held at Temple Manuel. In addition, on 3 separate occasions, the Service Club made and delivered sandwiches to individuals in New York City and Newark through its work with Bridges Outreach, a Summit-based nonprofit. Club members coordinated a blood drive, a regular Wednesday extra lunch drop-off to benefit the Plainfield Salvation Army, a coat drive for Bridges Outreach, and a book drive to benefit Need to Read, an organization that supports students and homeless families. The Service Club also held a leaf raking fundraiser to support a family in need in Westfield High School.
Thank you. Chris?
Yes. Westfield High School announced that 8 more students each achieved the highest score in May on either the SAT or ACT standardized test widely used for college admission and placement criteria, bringing the total this year to 48 perfect scores. High school principal Dr. Derek Nelson congratulated each student personally for the achievement. Earning perfect SAT scores were Alexander Campbell in Math 2, Michael Canabaro in Math 2, Casey Cohen in Chemistry, Timothy McAuliffe in Chemistry, Alex Pinkowski in French, Madeline Reinders in Math 2, Marissa Lee in Math 2, and achieving a perfect score in reading in the ACT, William Collum. So congratulations to those students.
Thank you. Peggy?
Yes, in addition to those wonderful athletic awards we just heard about, we are pleased to announce that NJ.com's recent rankings of high schools, which had the best years in sports. Westfield High School was ranked first in Union County, third in the state for public schools, and ninth in the state for all high schools. Congratulations to all our athletes and coaches and to our supportive families. I have my favorite announcement. All students in the Westfield Public Schools will follow an early dismissal on Thursday, June 22nd and Friday, June 23rd. The last day for all students will be Friday, June 23rd. Westfield High School will hold its commencement ceremony for graduating seniors at 3 p.m. on Friday at Kaler Stadium, weather permitting. Fingers crossed. The indoor location in the event of inclement weather will be the Westfield Armory. That decision to hold the ceremony indoors will not be made until Friday. Congratulations to everybody for a successful year.
I have 2 announcements as well. First of all, a reminder that the deadline for Westfield residents considering a 3-year term on the Board of Education is July 31st at 4 p.m. when petitions are due at the county clerk's office in Elizabeth. The three members whose terms are expiring on the Westfield Board of Education include Peggy Oster, Mark Friedman, and Christopher Langhart. Mr. Friedman has recently announced that he will not be running for another term. Nominating petition forms, which must be completed and submitted to the county clerk, are available at the Board of Education office, 302 Elm Street, Westfield, and on the board website. Questions regarding the election process can be referred to the Union County Election Supervisor, Lisa Hugelmeyer, at 908-527-4996. The actual election will take place on Tuesday, November 7th, 2017. Interested residents are encouraged to contact any member of the Westfield Board of Education or the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Margaret Dolan, for more information about service on the board. And we mean that sincerely. If anyone has questions, we'd be happy to talk to you about what is involved in serving on the board. And our next Board of Education meeting will be on Tuesday, August 29th. So we congratulate our graduates and wish everyone a wonderful and safe summer, as well as all of you, although I'm sure we will be in contact. I'm sorry, you do not have any.
I do not.
So at this point, I'd like to recognize anyone from the public for agenda items only. Seeing no one come to the podium, I'd ask the board to approve the minutes of our board meeting held on June 13th, 2017, and the private minutes of the same date. Can I have a second? Brendan, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Great. We'll move on to personnel. In Mark's absence, I would ask the board to approve personnel items 1 through 46. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Dr. Dolan, any call-outs?
I don't, but I believe Mr. Langhart does.
We're talking about the contracts?
Yes.
Yes, I was looking for them.
11 and 12.
Yes, we're approving 2 contracts. The first one is for the administrators and supervisors. We settled that contract earlier this month. I would just like to say, prior to the negotiations, they made a very nice statement saying how valued and appreciated they felt by the district, and how much of a pleasure it was to work with this district. And I think the feeling was reciprocated. They, in large part, run our schools. We entrust the safety of our students and children to them, and they go above and beyond on a consistent basis. So it was a very cordial and respectful negotiation. I think both sides were interested in reaching a quick and very fair settlement, and I think we did so. So I just want to make that statement that we do appreciate having them and the hard work that they do. The second item is Dana, do you want to add anything to that? No? The second item is the teacher's contract. You're being asked to approve a one-year contract tonight. We have two new negotiating teams in place this year. We got off to a little bit of a late start, and traditionally we've had a contract in place for the teachers throughout the school year. So instead of trying to jam a pretty substantial negotiation into a short period of time, because the contract expires at the end of this month, we decided upon a one-year rollover, keeping pretty much everything in place with a salary increase. Both sides were amenable to this, and we thought it'd be in the best interest as long as we could start negotiating the next 3-year contract, is what we expect, fairly early, and we've already set up negotiation dates later this year for that. So we'd ask you to approve this one-year rollover contract. Dana, I don't know if you want to add anything. Those are the two items I just wanted to call. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
Chris, I'd like to add that this isn't the first time in the last couple of years we've done a one-year contract in the interest of both the teachers and the board to do the contract the right way. And it's an excellent solution as opposed to dragging out negotiations over a lapsed contract.
Right.
It shows that we appreciate the teachers and they appreciate us.
I agree. Thank you, Brian.
And just on behalf of the board, I want to thank our negotiations team for your hard work in getting us to the finish line in both of the contracts and maintaining what we all know is a very valued relationship. So thanks to everybody involved. Anything else? Dana?
Mike Phelan?
Yes.
Brendan Galligan?
Yes.
Rob Garrison?
Yes.
Chris Langhart?
Yes.
Gretchen Oleg?
Yes, I abstain from 11, 12, and 15.
Peggy Oster?
Yes, and I abstain from number 24.
Not to put you on the spot, but Gail, do you have, I'm thrilled that you're here. Would you like to say, would anyone want to come to the podium? No, you're good?
I will.
Okay, great.
I will. I'm sorry.
I would like to just take this moment to thank Mrs. Oster and Mr. Langford for their time that they gave us. And it's been an exciting year as the WA president, and I cannot express how much I've learned, how exciting it's been, and I'm glad that the board and the WA can work things out and that we have a good relationship. And I want to thank all of you. And Scott.
Thank you. Thank you all. Move on the agenda to facilities. Brendan.
Yes. Actually, I have a report this time. We met on Friday for the first time since last week in March or the first week in April. We got a rundown on our summer projects. The big ones being the 2 auditoriums at the intermediate level. Seats, actually, work has already begun on those, with seats being removed over this last weekend. Everything appears to be on track. I know the one issue with asbestos, we got that sorted out. Excited about that. We talked about the lead testing that we have to do in the schools. The state mandated that we test for lead in drinking fountains, bathrooms, and food prep areas. We had already had filters on all of our water fountains, the cafeteria sinks, bathroom sinks, anywhere where somebody could fill up a water bottle or drink water. We were already mitigating potential lead. Over the last couple weeks, we've had every drinking fountain tested, and we expect to have the results in the next 2 weeks or so. We did have to switch contractors midway through due to their certifications with the state lapsing. Additionally, we talked about the projects that we plan to do at Kaler Field next summer, which we've started doing surveying work and preliminary engineering to replace the turf field and the track. We also talked about potential work at Washington and Franklin schools on their grass fields. Soccer Association has expressed an interest in trying to upgrade the quality of those fields. Those will be ongoing discussions with nothing happening in the next year or two. And then that sort of brings us to the 5-year plan we started talking about that we are going to revise over the next year or so as we see what our funding situation looks like. And that's really about it. Did I miss anything, Dana?
No, I mean, we have another number of other projects going on this summer as well. I
The
mean, all of
last
which-
round of fire alarms and I believe
Right.
a boiler.
The referendum projects from 2 years ago, so we have fire alarms going into a number of buildings. We have a chairlift going into Roosevelt to make that entire building handicap accessible. We have a boiler also going into Roosevelt, and then we have a number of small projects, but they're all, relatively routine stuff for us to do in the summer.
And I believe that means we have one more boiler. The last
We
one at the
have
high school, and then the
Right.
whole, every boiler in the district has been
Right,
replaced.
that'll be on track, hopefully for next summer.
Yeah.
Now I get to start doing them again. No, I'm just kidding. But no, thank you to Dana, to your office, and to Mike Morris, of course, and his team. The rest of us get the summer off, and everything's ramping up for them, so I appreciate all their efforts. Long-range planning, Mark isn't here. I don't know, Dr. Dolan, no report?
No update.
Policies, Chris.
Yes. 2 items on policies. I'd ask the board to consider for approval the superintendent's decision on HIV incidents 17 WI01, 17 R10, 17 R11, 17 R12, 17 R13, and 17 R14 for the reasons set forth in each report. Can I have a second? Brendan, thank you.
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Chris Langhart,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Second item, I'd ask the board's consideration for approval, the second reading of the following policies: 24-24 goals for athletic participation, 24-25 physical education, 5500 conduct, discipline code of conduct, and 7490 pets on school property. Can I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Rob. Any questions? Dana?
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Chris Langhart.
Yes.
Gretchen Olig.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Policies Committee will meet probably one time over the summer, we talked about, and we'll report back then.
Great.
Nothing further.
Curriculum, I'd like to ask the board to approve item 1 on the curriculum agenda for first reading of the curriculum listed there. Can I have a second, please? Brendan, thank you. So the curriculum committee met on Friday. I apologize, I didn't get to circulate notes, but what you see on the agenda are the tech ed curriculum updates that were reviewed in the normal 5-year cycle. They were presented by Sean Bonacera and Matt Bolton from Medicine. And we had a great conversation about the work that's going on and sort of the progression of the tech ed classes at the middle school, and the district's sort of commitment to sort of continuing that at the high school, and so, yeah, it was a great conversation. There's nothing remarkable about the curriculum itself other than it's updated with new standards, and it's clearly being implemented marvelously. So, does anybody have any questions?
One. Just out of my own curiosity, could I get a copy of what was circulated on those particular curricula?
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely. I'm just wondering if what was circulated from Paul's office was maybe just the cover sheet, so you want the curriculum documents, correct?
Yeah, just.
I think I probably have them here in a pile. So yes,
Okay.
if I don't have them tonight, we'll get them to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Or they might even be attached, maybe. Anyway, we'll get them to you, yes. Any other questions? Okay.
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Chris Langhart.
Yes.
Gretchen Olig.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Finance, in Mark's absence, I would like to ask the board to consider finance items 1 through 29. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thanks, Brendan. I just want to take a moment to call out and accept, on behalf of the board, a gift of a scoreboard in honor of Stuart T. Carey for his 48 years of dedicated service from the Roosevelt Intermediate School PTSO for Roosevelt Intermediate School. So thank you to the PTSO for that generous donation. Any other finance items we need to discuss? Call out. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Chris Langhart,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig.
Yes.
Peggy Oster.
Yes.
Technology.
No report. We won't be meeting again until September.
I'd like to ask the board to note the notes for the record. Are there any liaison reports? At this point, I'd recognize anyone from the public for any comments, questions. Yeah, come on up. If you could just come to the podium, I just need you to state your name and address.
They hand out what I'd like to hand out separately.
Thank you.
It sounds silly, but I have mental health awareness pens. Channel mental health awareness in the air. Sorry.
My name is Carolyn Buccio. I'm a resident of Westfield, and I have 4 children in the school system. I have Julia, who's a junior, Michaela, who's a freshman, Anthony in 6th, and Sophia in 3rd. First, I want to thank everybody for hearing me. This was a great night to recognize athletes, which I love. I love anything athletic. And I want to thank Chris personally, who's a good personal friend of mine, and who was so supportive leading up to today and encouraging me, which is so great, which I've shared with others, that this is an open place to share ideas. And thank you so much for that. And Dr. Jolan, I didn't have a chance to respond to you today because I had too many kids. Maybe we can pick up next week. So I am here to discuss mental health and wellness in the district. It's not a new concept by any means, but I think, and I'll get into a little bit my experience in the last few months, the way that we all kind of view it and look at it and talk about it is a little bit new and evolving. I just completed a 3.5-month, 70-hour training with Caring Contact, which is a crisis and suicide prevention hotline in Westfield. It's been around for 42 years, and I just heard about it, I think a year ago. But the company does incredible work, is the first spot and the first routing location for the National Suicide Hotline. So the work that they do in helping people quietly, one-on-one on the lines, as well as educating the community and giving back, is really amazing. And it just started my journey on this path to look a little bit more into it. So I have gained my assist suicide intervention training certification and mental health first aid training. And in the course of working with this company, I saw that we were only working with a handful of schools in the area. And I wondered what they all had in common, because they were kind of in different counties and different areas, Cranford, Bloomfield, now Pingree, and what they all had in common is that they were responding to a youth suicide in their town. And I noticed we weren't working with any town that had not experienced that yet, at least not recently. So I just started looking into this just to learn more and educate myself and see kind of what we were doing in our town. And learn more to see if there were any holes, any gaps, and how we could fill them, and how we as a community could help. What I found was incredible correlations between mental illness and bullying. And we've talked so much about bullying and made so many amazing strides in this town with our bullying committee and the coordination between schools. For example, children with oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, are 6 times more likely to bully. Those with ADHD or depression are 3 times more likely. And victims of bullying are at risk for anxiety, depression, and self-harm. So in that sense, it becomes a contagion, mental illness, and it is so interwoven with bullying in that sense. Also correlations between mental illness and learning disorders. I could go on and on. One example is ADHD and anxiety. One comes first and leads to the other, or vice versa. But the correlation of all of these afflictions that we are talking about so much just was so unbelievable to me. And it just came out that mental health and mental illness specifically, different than mental health, was such a common thread between all of these afflictions. And it really was in the middle, and it just touched all of these other parts. So leading up to May, I wanted to see if our schools were recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month in the month of May. It's relatively new, in fairness. It just was signed by President Obama last April in 2016. So in fairness, it's new. I recently just heard of it. And I was trying to see who to find within the district to discuss this with, and I had a hard time finding a point person or one person. while everybody is doing work with mental health and mental illness and education, I couldn't find a go-to and anybody in charge. So I called the mayor and I said, what can we do about this? I would love to see something at a leadership level, a town level. And in mid-May, he signed a proclamation for the town of Westfield declaring May Mental Health Awareness Month. A copy of the proclamation is in the handout that I gave to everybody. There are some statistics from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, but mostly, I always go back to his quote, "I call upon the inherent benevolence of our compassionate community to learn more about mental health conditions, as well as what can be done to eliminate the stigma too often associated with them." And I thought it was such a beautiful way to end his 10-point proclamation. And from that, I wanted to just better understand what we're doing in the schools. It's advantageous for me to have kids in every school. I'm at Wilson, I'm at Roosevelt, and I'm at the high school. So I was able to sit with over 20 people. They're listed in your handout. Westfield High School, Dr. Nelson, Maureen Mazaris, Carol Stavitsky, Sandy Maymery, Susan Colasar, and Ann Getz. From Edison, Dr. Bolton, Mary Esfendis, Lori DeMoro, Carrie Webster, Kim Lisnock, and from Roosevelt, Mr. Getman, Kim Schumacher, Christine Trotter, Christina Caprera, Sharon Dory, and from Wilson, Mr. Malanga, Mr. Uvegas, Mrs. Finn, Mrs. Wade. I have 5 other grammar schools I wanted to get to, but I ran out of time and my kids were having cereal for dinner, so I have to get back to those schools at some point, and they are equally as important because I want to hear from everybody. But and I met with the PTSO as well. So these are all administrators, counselors, nurses, teachers, health educators, special education teachers, and the director of athletics. And everybody plays a role, and everybody had so much to say. And to all of those people I just named, thank you so much for your time and your care and your feedback. It was just incredible to hear from all of you. For my 20 pages of notes, it was labor-intensive, but I summed it down to some of their collective concerns, and many were overlapping. Their concerns were a limited accessibility of counselors to all students based on sheer numbers, nobody's fault. There was a concern among many for students in the hall that maybe pass by the counseling office and peek in and the door's closed and they kind of keep walking. And we have, a handful of kids that come down a lot and they need to be there and they do get the help. But there were concerns among administrators and counselors for those kids that kind of walk by slowly and keep going. Where do they go? Do they go anywhere? Do they just keep going? And the consensus was they probably just keep going and don't find somewhere else to go. There was concern among teachers that they aren't trained properly to help a student in distress, to know the language, know the words. It's a scary thing. There's risk and liability. And they all expressed that while they want to help, they feel like they aren't properly trained. There was a need for sensitivity training among the kids regarding language and terms that are long retired in the realm of mental illness. A need for parents to help from home. The educators that I spoke with were not quite sure if parents were aware of kind of the shifts in some of these statistics and suicide on the rise and mental illness in such high numbers in the schools, and that so many of these afflictions are happening earlier than we ever saw before. And I guess the earlier occurrence was of most concern. Stigma still exists, and there's a need to break it down. I think stigma might be the greatest barrier, because if there's stigma and there's shame and embarrassment that a child is feeling, or a teacher, mental illness doesn't discriminate. It's all ages, it's educators, it's everybody, it's parents. If there's stigma and shame and embarrassment, there's a reluctance to come forward. And I think a big part of this imperative would be to break that down and normalize and be able to say mental illness and call it out for what it is. Everybody felt that it's an elephant in every room, and we could look the other way, or we could call it out and name it for what it is, mental illness, and help people and say this is okay, this is normal, this is 50% of these kids, and that's okay, and you have to speak up. There's a concern for teacher workload, which is completely believable. These teachers have very full plates. They're very busy. So how do we empower them and train them and say, take on something more, but you're not going to work that much harder? So that's another challenge. A need for mental health training in the grammar schools, particularly the upper grades, specifically the upper grades, grades 4 and 5. I heard this at both Edison and Roosevelt. Both administrators and counselors felt that the incoming 6th graders had a big learning curve to come up to speed on basic mental health and mental illness language. And then when I went back to Wilson, I learned what they discussed, which was mainly stress, coping, mindfulness, yoga, all which are completely relevant and important. Then the next step to segue to middle school would be, stress versus anxiety, which it can cross over into. Sadness versus depression, which it can cross over into. So some way to teach in an age-appropriate way to these 4th and 5th graders, particularly 5th, so that they are in better shape coming into 6th. And both teams at Roosevelt and Edison felt that would be very helpful for them. We can't ignore the Netflix series, 13 Reasons Why. This came up in all my discussions, especially at Roosevelt and Edison. This penetrated those schools. It really, it really rocked these counselors. It was hard for them. It presented challenges. It was adult rated R material that 11-year-olds were trying to comprehend and understand. And that created a lot of challenges and difficulty for these educators. And it's worth noting that I made myself watch it so I could understand what everyone was talking about. In the fall, the next season comes out, and there are guns related. And I think that's important for the schools to know that that is coming, that the next season will have part 2 of bullying and mean-spiritedness and guns, which is, quite frankly, a whole different level of this. And the trend in general of suicide rates in the last 20 years, the suicide rates have dropped heading into the year 2000. In the last 20 years, there's been a steady rise. And it's also including preteens, ages 10, 11, and 12, which we haven't seen before. And quite frankly, before I did this training in the last 6 months, I didn't realize that it had moved down that far into these ages. So that's our 4th and 5th graders. And we just had a local girl die by suicide, an 11-year-old in New Jersey last week, and it's all over the news. My kids saw it. It was all over Instagram, and it's troubling to see that age. It's very sad, and it's confusing, and I think that that's there, so we're forced to face this. And a lot of this was just thrown upon us, and in many ways, social media and Hollywood and whatever else is going on TV has kind of sabotaged and taken over this argument from us, and it's a really powerful thing because our kids are moving and talking faster than we can keep up with to even respond. I think there's a need to take some of that argument back and help control it from an adult standpoint. And I'll end with my final concern, and everybody agreed with this after I said, when I was speaking with Mr. Malanga about, in the spirit of shows like that, and things that happen off premises, he said, but everything lands on our doorstep. And everybody agreed with that no matter what happens, if it's on TV, if it's social media, if it's a dispute downtown, it ends up in the schools, and it becomes the schools' maybe not responsibility, but something to deal with and face and have to handle. So how do we help everybody? If I turn to the next page. So through Caring Contact, and that was my recommendation to bring a district-wide comprehensive approach to mental health awareness and education, including suicide prevention and intervention training. This will ensure consistency across the district and continuity between schools as well as at home. And what I mean by consistency is teachers, students, and parents all play a part. We can't just look at one. We can't just say, what's the school going to do? What are the teachers going to do? We have to bring the students in. They have to have equal training that's in an age-appropriate way. There's a teen seminar for mental health education, same language, same everything. The teachers and parents, then the parents will also get a parent seminar in mental health and suicide prevention. I think bringing in a third party is a good idea to hand it off to somebody else to handle this training across 3 parties rather than to lay it on any one of these 3 groups. And all 3 groups play a role in this being successful, teachers, students, and parents. I would also like to see the formation of a wellness program at the district level, much like we have for the snack nutrition program and other important areas that impact all students. Just to go back, I didn't know where to go to find somebody to discuss some of these issues with, and what I saw was everything being done differently at different school levels. So depending on what that administration prioritized or counselors prioritized, kids were getting different things. And I'm not saying they were getting anything bad, it just was different. And some were getting more, some were getting less, and I think it would be advantageous to see something at a district-wide level in an integrative rollout formation. Parent involvement, teacher involvement with a lot of teacher direction, representatives from each school in the district to communicate and meet regularly, much like we do for bullying, and it's with great success. In meeting with Mr. Malanga, who's the bullying director for the district, in 2011, we had over 70 bullying incidents in the district, and that's down to just about 30 in the last year. And many of those were kind of retaliatory bullying, so it was kind of the same incident. Still so important, and official cases that had to be handled, but I think infrastructure is there to handle these things because we have wellness, we have resiliency, we have bullying. This is an obvious tack on that we can layer right into there. I think the infrastructure is there. I think we have incredible people in place that are really doing this. It's not an overhaul. I think it's a tweak and a connecting of dots to just make this more cohesive and more consistent, and have more of a formalized plan across the district. So again, caring contact, it would ensure fairness and consistency. I think it could mitigate risk and liability because you're bringing in a third party that's accredited. It's official, it's 40 years in existence and doing incredible work. They just met with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and they're about to do a bunch of training with them over the next couple of months for the people that literally work on the bridges and are right in the middle of these suicide interventions or crisis intervention scenarios. And they're also starting to work into other schools as well. Why am I doing this? I just put that as a final question, because if I were you, I would wonder, why are you doing this? I grew up in Westfield. I've been here my whole life. I feel heavily invested in this town. My husband did as well. I think Westfield has a great opportunity to lead on this in the area with this model of bringing a comprehensive district-wide consistent approach to the school district as well as to the town. So Mayor Skibitsky at the same time is scheduling right now with police, fire, and first responders. And I think it makes perfect sense to be bringing that same methodology and language and consistency in education to a school district with the teachers and the students, and then parents as well, because we do need parents involved and we need them helping us out at home. We can't lay this all out on the teachers. So I think it's important. I'm a Westfielder. I've been here my whole life, and I would love to see Westfield lead on this, and I really think we can, and I'd love to see that happen, and I would appreciate your support.
Great. Thank you. I mean, this is a very clearly well thought through and comprehensive proposal. So I don't feel like I'm in a position to respond because I just
That's
got it.
okay.
I don't know if Dr. Dolan wants to talk about what we are doing in the district.
Sure.
But yeah, we might have to get back to you.
No, and that's fine. Listen, it's a lot of information. The next 2 pages have a 2-page training proposal by teachers, students, and parents. And this also, it's worth noting, this fulfills the state mandated suicide skills training requirement for all educators. And Dr. Dolan had mentioned that we have a lot of turnover and new teachers in the last year or so.
Right, which is right.
And it would be timely.
That this is something we really do obviously take very seriously.
Yes.
The mental health of our students and the training of our staff, and things aren't stagnant, right? We get new children every year, we have new staff every year, and as you referenced, and there are changes in what the research tells us, et cetera. One reason why we started working on resiliency is we did see a rise in anxiety in our students at a younger level, and so we have been focusing on being proactive, working on resiliency and coping skills to try to be proactive regarding that. It's a topic that came up in strategic plan and we really focused on this year. We obviously, as you also referenced, do and have for years provided training to all of our staff on understanding suicide and suicide prevention and signs of suicide. And that's an ongoing thing. There's so many things in our district we don't teach once, right? You don't teach children something once,
Right.
and you don't teach staff something once. So that is something that is ongoing, and we continue to do. Our counselors are vitally important to our district, which is why the board supports having so many counselors. At our intermediate level, for example, we have one counselor for each of the grades in each of the schools, and both schools have the same resources for that. And they are constantly involved in updated training, not just in suicide, in mental health, in bullying, in conflict resolution, in all the topics you would expect for counselors. At the high school level, we have a very good ratio for students when you compare us to other districts, because it is important. Our counselors at the high school hold many roles, actually. And at the elementary levels, our counselors do share time between the elementary schools. That is accurate. So it is something we take very seriously. We're very fortunate because we do have outside resources, such as Caring Contact, but others as well. We have worked with Contact in the past, and I'm sure we can work with them going forward. And we work with other both local groups that give us support. We certainly leaned on them this year when we had a very difficult time. And we have other resources we can reach out to. So yes, it's something we constantly work on because it's important. and so we had indicated we have crossed emails, and we'll talk over the summer and see what might be appropriate to work within what exists, and to make sure we keep on addressing the issues of the children, and also, as you importantly pointed out, what the media brings upon our children and upon our families, and how that changes things. That can't be ignored either. So.
Yep.
Carolyn, can I ask you a
Yes.
question? Because
Sure.
I'm pretty much out of the loop on this. I got copied, sort of looped in on an email today, just
from
forwarded to
Carolyn.
me. You said that the PTOs and the PTSOs have agreed to fund the training, so so I just want to be clear on that, so that when we go, we talk about it over the summer, all of the PTOs at Addison Roosevelt and the high school have agreed to absorb the cost in connection with just the assemblies or the parent training. Just if you could clarify that piece for me.
Sure. The PTSO for sure said they have plenty of money to fund this, and I didn't get around to all of the schools.
Yes, you're right. Right, the PTSO at the high school is interested in supporting it. I think one of the next steps would be for that PTSO to talk to the PTOs at the other schools.
Right, and we hadn't gotten there yet, and I can say informally, and listen, this is informal. I'm just starting this. I'm looking for a way to make this great and better. This is a first draft. First drafts are imperfect. So just informally, with the time I had in speaking with children of different ages, and just, asking them their thoughts and talking to different friends, parents are looking for help.
I
and
think that's a huge gap.
Parents are like, what can we do? And I'm like, well, you have to help, and we could use some money. So parents are willing to donate time. They're willing to make financial donations. And I feel like I've spoken to enough people, and given the cost of this, I feel really confident that we could cover this.
And if I could just add, I think I put it in the email, but I'm not positive. So, I do think it is key that we provide the information to parents as well.
Yes.
But as you said before, with a few children, with 4 children, you're a little busy. And what we really pushed this year to offer more and more programs for parents. And what we found was it really is hard for parents. They're so busy for them to get out to the meetings. Whenever it is we offer them, we try to figure out a time that might be appropriate, but it's hard. So as we think forward, to be able to offer parent programs, yes, offer it at a night that might be work, but also to have something that's available online for the parents. So when a parent does come upon a situation and they do have questions, that we've been trying to add more and more resources to the website so that parents can reach out whenever it works for them or whenever they come across a concern. So just as we go forward, I think that's going to be important to offer online resources for parents.
And I thought that was a great point, because with teachers, we're looking at talking about like maybe the February in-service, since we can't get it in right before school starts, and then teachers have to go and kids have to go in assembly. Parents don't have to go. But to your point, I love that idea of whatever parents can come, great, and whichever ones can't, we just stream it. on the parent resource page. At the high school, I've been working with the PTSO, and Ann Edmondson kind of has been building up that parent resource page to just give some more links and some more places for parents to go subscribe to that can give them weekly emails outside of the school. So I thought that was a great idea.
Cool.
And it's a lot to digest, I know.
Yeah,
so
no,
you
but
can.
thank you
This
again.
is your
It's
nighttime
for
reading.
all of your time and for making the presentation to us and sharing the information with us. So
Okay, thank you.
Giving us a lot
Any
of
questions, you can call or email. I'll make sure. Chris has my email.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Before I make a resolution for us to move into private session and sort of wrap up the public portion of our meeting, I just want to take a minute to thank our videographer of the past 2 years, Mr. Hal Barnes, who is going to DePaul in Chicago, right?
Nice.
And I understand you're going to be doing TV production there. So thank you for all the time that you've given us and for making us look so good. I don't know about that, but on TV 36 or whatever. But anyway, best of luck to you and come back and see us whenever you're around. So thank you.
Thank you.
So at this point, I'd like to ask the board to approve the following resolution, that the Board of Education move into private session for the purpose of discussing matters rendered confidential by state and federal law, personnel, the superintendent's evaluation, the board's self-evaluation, and harassment, intimidation, and bullying incidents. And be it further resolved that any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential and the results of the discussion will be made public as soon as practicable. Can I have a second? Brendan, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are in private session.